Hi, my name is OmarHewady, and I am the CEO and founder of Photon Town. Photon Town is a place where we are good at one thing and one thing only, lying. But before getting carried out, let me start from the beginning. And I mean really the beginning, my childhood. Specifically, a photo of the man who I owe him everything, the rudder of my ship, the source of wisdom and warmness in my heart. See, told you, I'm a good liar. This is not even a photo. This is a hyper-realistic 3D render we completely made in Blender 8 years ago for one of our clients. And the best part is, of course, he's not my father. He is the legendary Egyptian actor Omar. Back then, we have discovered something important. People are willing to pay good money for such lies. So, against my therapist will, I decided to lie even more. But there is a thin line between pulling a successful delusion and being exposed. To demonstrate this, let me invite you to a game we call Catch the Imposter. For the past 2 days, we have been giving everybody this thing. It's just a normal fan, not only to help you to fight the global warming, but now it will be used as a voting machine. So I will show you 2 photos. You need to choose which one is CG and which one is fake, which one is real. So if you don't have the fan, you can just use your hand. OK, let's start. This is the fan. Yeah, A or B. If you think it's A, raise the white side of the fan or your hand. The real one, yeah. OK, if you think that B is the real photo, raise the black side. OK, most of you get this one right. Nice. Yeah. Here is Marlene, our favorite character. Let's try once more, but this time I will make it a little bit quicker. If you think that A is the real photo, raise your white side. If you think B is the real photo, raise the black side. Oh, oh, quick on the clicker. Yeah, this is Shong. We have made it to Fetric Studio. Here is Alex, the founder of it. Yeah, once again, last time, you think A. OK. If you think B, OK, here is the real one. So some of you have mistakenly chosen the CG render as the real one. And you may ask yourself, why? Why did I get fooled? To answer this question, I have asked the head of the modeling team in our company, Ahmed Naguib, the man behind most of this lying magic. To be fair, at first, I looked at him as a man who's sculpting only noses and ears, and he's wasting his life. But after he showed me the insane pipeline he invented and created in the company to have such a systematic process, the number of stages, the insane amount of details, I was like, OK, you know what are you doing? But why do we need all of this to convince you? To answer this, let's have a quick history lesson. From the beginning of humanity, we have been drawn to the idea of describing our body and what makes us different. See, facial features are not just decorations. They have, let's say, practical reasons. Maybe milk conservation. You need to know which baby is your baby, although all of them have cute eyes. Also, for reasons I don't want to get into, you need to know which man is your husband, although all of them snores at night. And if somebody is running toward you at night, you need to know if he is from your tribe or he's maybe a serial killer, although all of them are running half naked across the savannah. But the problem starts when we try to actually capture and document this. Archaeologists believe that the first human drawing for a face dates 15,000 BCE. I wouldn't call this realistic. It's one of these photos your mother shows to your fiancé if she's praying the whole thing to fall apart. We then attempted sculpting. It's kind of gross because this is a real skull, but it's an improvement. And then we tried the whole body at Jordan. OK, going to the right direction. And then after like 3,000 years later, we arrive at ancient Egypt, where I am personally coming from. Whether you see ancient Egypt as this marvelous piece of art and engineer, or a bunch of losers who spent 20 years building a pyramid for one man to get buried, you can't deny the power of a statue like Ramses II. This perfectly sculpted proportions, nailing the golden ratio. It makes you feel something, although you know it is just some stones. Therefore, let me take you on a journey to discover and learn more about the process of creation hyper-realistic characters. And fast forward to this modern era, we have invented internal combustion engine, we have invented the internet, and most importantly for our talk, computer-generated imagery. Like most medium in their infancy, CG had a rough start. Like, can you remember young Sherlock Holmes? It was horrible. It lacked the proper shading, believable movement, but it was a spark. After this, we tried maybe the Polar Express. It was a bit bitter, but could you describe the feeling that you get when you see something like this? Luckily, a Japanese man did. It's called the uncanny valley. I guess most of you are familiar with. It refers to the dip in emotional comfort that you get when you see a humanoid representation that's highly realistic, but it's not quite perfect. As you can see, the slightest mistake in this, trying to figure out how the human look, it makes the whole thing fall apart. Therefore, our talk tonight is about figuring how to avoid the uncanny valley, focusing on how to give a digital human soul. And if you enjoyed, I have some extra bonuses in the end, and I also share some of the other work in the company. So, of course, I will not be able to cover everything in 20 minutes, but I will try to give at least one example for each category, starting by the anatomic perspective. Specifically, this area. We call it the nasolabial folds, or smile line for simplicity. Some artists stress the muscles in this area mistakenly. It's like smelling your shoes after a 2-day trip to the Alps. It doesn't look right, and you will be surprised by how many artists and even paid professional courses that fall in this mistake. Another one is with the zygomatic region, the one highlighted in green. Some artists dismiss the muscles and the fats that should be covering the skull in this area, and they strictly follow the contours of the skull, resulting in a very sharp line. It's like when somebody punches you in your face, and your face doesn't bounce back. It just accepts the new reality. On the technical side of sculpting, doing hyperrealism is all about adding layers on top of each other. For this, we rely on sculpt layer add-on. It allows us to store multiple sets of details on the same subdivision levels. So you have your pores, you have your wrinkles, you have maybe some scars, all independently, and you can manage them separately. We're especially glad to have this workflow now, because this was the final thing we needed to fully migrate from ZBrush. But you have a great sculpt. Now you need to add some colors. Hence, we need to introduce cross-polarization. It's very familiar in the photography world. It's called a polarized filter. When light enters a polarized filter, the reflections that happens from shining objects, like maybe skin, glasses, all be canceled out, while only color and diffuse will only pass. If you didn't understand any of this gibberish, it's basically removing the reflections while only maintaining colors. But how to achieve this? We have 3 options. Either shoot with a polarized filter, or you will have to manually paint the reflections out digitally afterward, which is kind of a nightmare, or use an automated process in something like Substance Painter or something like that. They have a great delighting slider. But having creepy, good-looking texture is one thing, and achieving good shading is completely another matter. So my favorite trick to share in this is coming from the environment world. We have tileable floors, tileable concrete, wood, credit card debt. Why not to have tileable normal micro details? And if anybody does not know what tileable means, it's basically seamless. It's basically repeating your textures without visible seams. This significantly speeds up your initial shading process, and actually, honestly, when you add enough layers, nobody can tell that this is just like a tileable texture. Here, some people have too much, some people have too little. But I want to start the grooming section by lack of directional flow. It's a very common mistake. To avoid this, we usually start by just drawing the initial flow on a 2D image. This allows us to have a sense of the main directions. But let me show you two photos. I think the one on the right looks significantly better. But they have the same number of strands, they have the same density, they have the same distribution. So why is that? Because most people only focus on the gradient on density and neglect the gradient on each hair strand's thickness. You need to consider the thickness. So a human hair is usually between 50 and 100 micron. And to achieve this thickness gradients, we need to use the add-on. Like in the old particle system, you use it as a vertex group, and in the new geometry node particle system, you use it either as a vertex group or as a map. And as far as I'm concerned, this involves playing with the geometry nodes in Blender. There is no direct way, so we use the add-on for that. But shading the hair could also be tricky. Take this extreme lighting scenario. I was surprised, maybe, for example, that white hair is equal transparent or colorless hair, because it lacks the melanin pigment that gives the normal hair its color. So perceptually, you see it as white, but in reality, it's just lit from its surrounding. Achieving this in CG is completely hard, because it requires a lot of computational power. So we fake it by mixing two nodes together, like a normal principled BSDF and a hair principled BSDF. But we add some metallic and the transmission to the normal principled BSDF. But all of this hard work could easily fall apart if you didn't test in the right order. You will be diagnosing wrong problems, will lead to wrong assumptions, and eventually wrong solutions. And you will be trapped in this vicious cycle where each step is drifting you away and away. Like you will end up an old man on an island who's just trying to finish his character, and he will not ever be able. So test bit by bit. An example of this, you need to first test just pure lighting, like light without any colors. This will help you to determine how strong your displacement is, and also the unfiltered skin colors. Then you add different HDRIs to be able to determine reflections and specular and stuff like this. Now we have a great looking face, but it's so static. We need to connect emotionally with it. We want to see him like happy, sad, frustrated, surprised. We want him to act and react. We want him to basically be alive. Welcome, Thomas. Thomas, our friend. Welcome, Thomas. He now can feel and express his feelings like the rest of us. I already feel sorry for him. From a technical point of view, like animating a realistic expressions is a nightmare I wouldn't wish for even my worst enemy. We used to use the morph brush in ZBrush to achieve this. It allows you to store parts of your mesh as a morph target, letting you selectively blend or erase sculpted changes. We can kind of mimic this in Blender by adding a vertex group to a normal shape key. It's not as fast or intuitive, but it gets the job done. So now finally, we can close our eyes and celebrate what we achieved. Right? Wrong. Because we need to address the elephant in the room, the most disturbing two letters to any 3D artist. AI, other known for the unemployment maker, the unwanted wanted, the existential crisis trigger. Whether you are impressed by the new reality or you absolutely hate it, you can't deny that based on the current trajectory, we could be all screwed soon. Our friend Alex did a great talk last year, like informing us how to harness the AI to our advantage. And we totally agree. Every artist should keep a close eye on what's happening in this field. But we're here to celebrate the artistry and the irreplaceable human element. And to remind ourselves that despite the rise of the machine, we still have a good edge. Let me play with you one more game. Pick your favorite, and you know the rules. I will show you two photos. You choose which one do you prefer. Yeah, let's start. If you prefer the photo on the left, A, please raise the white part. If you prefer the photo on the left, please raise the black part. Okay, impressive. What I would tell you that the photo on the right is actually Eevee. And this frame is rendered in 4 seconds. Imagine that. Here is a proof. Some people didn't believe me. And actually, to be fair, I think that Eevee photo looked a little bit better. We could try once more. Yeah, if you prefer the photo on the left, please choose A, this one. If you prefer the photo on the right, use this. Oh, wow. Okay, again, you choose Eevee once more. So, back to AI. Imagine downloading a pre-made and rigged character with a huge animation library. We're currently releasing something like this. And to be able to render like a 5 seconds video in less than 10 minutes on a laptop. This is insane. And I know it's not an apple-to-apple comparison by any means with AI. But seeing Blender closing the gap in this way and also having all the benefits of controllability, of fine-tuning that you get in the normal 3D workflow, it's really, really impressive and assuring. Yeah, that was a comparison with Runway. It takes about 3 minutes to produce a video, almost from text to video, and this is only for your first try. The problem with pathological layers, they simply cannot stop lying. So while convincing people that these were real characters, we were also engaging them in action. Yeah, who doesn't love a healthy dose of adrenaline? But adrenaline alone was never enough. We were craving also dopamine. So we have a saying in the Middle East that the devil doesn't want to go to hell alone. So naturally, we decided to seduce as many innocent people as we can. My first step was starting an Arabic dedicated YouTube channel for Blender. The first level of the course gained more than 1 million views 6 years ago. Back then, this was good numbers. So I was suddenly contacted by several institutes that wanted me to give this lying knowledge in person instead of fiber optics cable. My first course was at the American University in Egypt. I was nervous at first, but the students were masochists. They loved getting tortured for 6 straight hours learning 3D without any breaks. And the work was kind of decent for first-timers. So we decided, let's spread the infection worldwide. We're now packing all of our knowledge into one bundle of Blender course for hyper-realism. This should work. we're excited to give back to the community. And although hyper-realism is our core product, but once you get your feet wet, you get your feet wet. So here is a general showreel for the rest of our work. Yeah, we try to do it all. And now what we are currently working on. Imagine that I will give you this photo from 200 years ago, and only this photo. And now your job is to turn this into this. Good luck with that. And not only this, they also need elephants. They need to put all of this into like hyper-realistic one scene. This is a historical project that involves 48 hyper-realistic characters, and all of them are giving to us with this brilliant reference. Yeah, this is just our initial tests. And in the end, we take pleasure in believing and even participating in the socially accepted lie called CG. And it's radiating from tiny lamps we call pixels directly to our hearts. And I will leave you with my last year submission to the Blender conference. Of course, so creative, I put myself in a Blender box. Yeah, this project involved a lot of object tracking. Why did I do this to myself? Yeah, I was introducing myself and where do I come from, which is Egypt, specifically Cairo, this crazy, chaotic city with all of its inspiring faces that inspired us to do what we do. And we're very grateful that we are able to do this now after 5,000 years instead of shovels and hammers by the most cutting-edge technology, all thanks to this amazing piece of software called the Blender. If this is not inspiring for you, I don't know what is. Thank you. Thank you.